Welcome to the Emerging Consciousness Global Online Festival, a kaleidoscope of voices and perspectives on awakening. Here we are gathering with leading transformative coaches, visionary artists, cultural creatives, and an eclectic mix of wisdom keepers blended with colorful new voices to create a catalyzing space where curious people come for fearless and experiential learning. Thank you for being a part of this transpersonal movement to liberate minds, supercharge consciousness, and activate the furthest parts of our human potential so that we can co-create a more evolved and peaceful world. I'm Tami Mensch, spiritual business coach and transformative life coach, founder of the Kaleidoscope Lounge and Coaching, and creator and host of this event. I serve people on a journey to fullness of expression, joy, authenticity, and deep wisdom. Those brave souls who sense that change is imminent and who long to connect with what makes them feel more fully alive and the gifts that they were born to bring into the world. And today I am thrilled to be speaking with Alison Whitmire, coach, teacher, and entrepreneur. Hi, Alison.
Hi, Tami. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
Really good. It's nice to see your big smile.
Oh, you too. You too. I'm so thrilled to have you here. I'm going to tell everyone a little bit about you before we get started.
Okay.
Alison is an amazing person. She is an authority on emotional and relational intelligence, a professional certified coach, a master EQ practitioner, and certified narrative coach. Alison is the president of Learning in Action, which is a company committed to healing the divide within and between people. She has thousands of hours experience coaching CEOs and business owners. She's a certified yoga teacher and mindfulness meditation teacher. And she is also a TEDx speaker and 3-time conference organizer. And today she's going to be talking with us about the topic of healing the divide. Love that.
Thanks. I do.
Let's jump right into it, Alison. Tell us, what does heal the divide mean?
Yeah. So to me, healing the divide means reconnecting with the essence of who we are, with the divine essence of who we are. Because when we can reconnect with ourselves at a soul level, at a spiritual level, then we can reconnect with others. And I don't have to tell you how incredibly divided we are as a people, as a nation, as political parties, as racial parties, like in almost every way in which you might divide people, we are divided. And my belief is that what divides us from each other is reflective of the ways in which we're divided from ourselves, that we have disconnected from our own essence. And if we can heal that, if we can reconnect with the essence of who we are, our divine essence, the love that we are, then we can reconnect with others and the planet and everything in between.
Wow. Yeah. So how do we become these divided people, these divided souls?
Yeah. So there's many different ways of looking at this. And I don't presume to be like the person who knows, and what I'm saying is the way it is. I find it interesting to look at this through a number of different lenses. There's a neuroscience lens, there's a psychological lens, if you want to be more grounded in that, and then there's a spiritual lens. If we look at this through, say, neuroscience, and we consider the fact that when we're born into this world, we're born with a brain that's only very primitively developed. And that's on purpose. It's so that we will adapt into the relationships and spaces and environments that we're in, and that our brain literally shapes itself to fit the world we join. And so we become divided from a more integrated self by the ways in which our brain literally wires together uniquely to fit into our very narrow focused circumstance. And what that looks like more narrowly is that we literally learn from our family of origin, from our caregivers, what's okay and what's not okay, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, what's rewarded and what's punished, what's judged and what's accepted. And from that, we literally reshape ourselves. So that's the neuroscience side. The psychological side is, we come into this world with this precious, tender, real self, and we want to be loved and attended to and attuned to and accepted and embraced and embodied and celebrated, and for all of the ways in which we are. And when we're not, when parts of us aren't accepted or tolerated or attended to, we will tend to hide those, and we'll tend to create a false self that we project to the world in ways we don't even know we're projecting a false self. And that's where the neuroscience comes in, is that the ways in which our brain has wired together before we had language, before we had memory, to present now like a false self to the world that we don't even know is a false self. We have so disconnected from the real self that we are, that we project now a false self in the hopes that it will be accepted and tolerated and loved by the world. And then there's the more spiritual dimension, where you can believe that we incarnate into this physical form, where souls or spirits that incarnate into this physical form, and then we fall asleep. We fall asleep to the fact that we are timeless, that we are loved, that we are divine, that we're unique and yet connected. We fall asleep to that, and then join this plane in which there's a past, a present, and a future, and we're in this body that has to survive, and it's unique and it's separate, and we forget. So those are like all the different ways in which we become divided, and why it's so kind of this divide is so kind of pernicious, or can be.
Wow. I mean, so there's so much there, so many ways that we fall asleep, and separate from ourselves.
So true. Yeah.
And why do you think that is happening so much right now in this world? Right, this topic is so important right now, what you're bringing up, and so timely. And why do you think that this is you think this is something that's growing and becoming more and more divided over time?
I don't know. I don't profess to be the expert on that by any ways. But I'll tell you what my sense is. My sense is this is not new. That in some ways, a big difference is the division is being celebrated.
Oh.
That some ways of being different are being taken on like an identity, that people are doubling down on the physical person they are, the separate person that they are, and really disconnecting from a spiritual self, or just not coming into a kind of spiritual self. I think, not that this is related to religion, but, church attendance has gone down over the years. And I don't know that it's been replaced by something. I can say myself, I grew up Southern Baptist, and we were at church every time the door opened. And when I became an adult, all I knew is I didn't want to belong to anything that thought everyone else was wrong. And so I can tell you myself, it's only really been into the last couple of years that I've been able to find kind of like, oh, this is the spirituality that I can embrace. This one where everyone's right. We're all one. We're in this together. And I have everything inside me that I need for my life to be happy. It's here now. I mean, so there was, I didn't learn that. And I can even now, I can't tell you like, where does one go to get that? I can tell you, I'm so grateful to you for doing this. And I realize you're not like creating a church or something like that, but I think people need a place to go to find their own path. And I can tell you, that's kind of very much where I've been, is just trying to find my own path to develop my own way of spirituality that nurtures me. And part of that has been to just like, okay, heal, divide. That's going to be my mission. I'm going to double down on that. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I'm going to figure it out. And I'm just going to, hope that attracts people to me, that I then figure out what this path is and what my spirituality means.
Yeah, I can hear why this is like so important to you. And it's continuing to unfurl and to reveal itself as a lifelong journey. And it sounds like the deeper you get into it, the more intense and intriguing and powerful, and curious you're getting about it. Yeah.
It just gets juicier and juicier.
Yeah. Gosh, so like you're talking about how you realize the divide in you and the spiritual self and all these other selves. So how did someone wake that up in themselves? How do we get a sense of our own divide? How do we know? You said at the beginning, we don't know if we're divided. We don't know that we're divided.
Yeah.
How can we get a sense of that in ourselves? And that?
Yeah. So just to go back to something you said just a minute ago, like the ways in which I'm divided. So I genuinely believe that we humans, we teach what we want to learn and we create what we want to heal.
Say that again.
That we teach what we want to learn and we create what we want to heal. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a teacher. And I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm a creator, like you creating this, and I know that this is part of my journey to heal my divide. And the way that I know that I feel divided is I can tell you so much of my life I have felt lonely, and it's so interesting. Like during this pandemic, I'm like, wow. This is waking me up to kind of a feeling of loneliness that I believe I've carried with me my whole life. So then that's caused me to like, wow, what is that about? And I can know kind of, within the temples, like, oh, I'm not alone and I'm together. But like, what does it really feel like to not feel alone? And so that's part of this exploration, because interestingly, at least to me, is the more work I do on myself and turning inward and looking at the ways in which I'm separating myself from myself, like hiding myself from myself or from others, the less alone I feel. I mean, and so you brought up the point is like, how do we know? How do we know that we're divided? So it turns out that all the ways in which we conflict with other people, the ways in which we kind of rub against each other, the things that create a response in us, all of those are fingers that point to our own development. You know, I don't know if it's a Buddhist saying or Stoic saying that it's, you know, they say that what's in the way is the way. Mm-hmm. And that's, so anything that's in the way, like anything that we think of as an obstacle or a challenge or something we react to emotionally, are places to look for how do I turn inward? How is this about me? How did I create this? If I could create any story in the world, what is it that has me creating this story that has me reacting this way? And so that's how we begin to look for the ways that we're divided, is to look for how we're reacting. And, you know, you were kind enough to offer some kind of giveaway to the audience. And my giveaways is this guide to understanding the information and gift of emotions, because our emotions are a divining rod to help us understand how we're experiencing the world, or others, ourselves. And when we can understand the information in each emotion and the gift it has for us, then we can take that in and begin to understanding, okay, I'm getting angry about this. How is this about me? Okay, the information in anger is I've been violated. The gift of anger is direction setting, motivation, boundary setting. Okay, I understand I'm angry about this. What is this about me? What is my unmet need? How can I meet that need myself? So that's where we begin to look for where the divide is within us and how we can begin to kind of seek to heal that divide.
Yeah. So you had this feeling of, in the pandemic, of loneliness. You know, what is that all about? It's something inside myself. Mm-hmm. You have these different feelings of these triggers, you know, that of these reactions that you're experiencing. What is it that's causing this reaction? We all know that our triggers are invitations for us to level up in some way, right? So yes. You're like, what is that trigger about? And then I heard you like coaching yourself, you know, what's the gift in this? How did this develop? What does this mean? You know, and with emotions being a real clue to what it is that's going on inside, and to really looking into those. So every one of those are different fingers that point to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And our tendency is to want to otherize.
Otherize?
To want to make others, but to like whatever that's happening out here that's making me uncomfortable must be about you or about the world. It's not about me. And that's what it is so tempting too, right? I mean, like we're sitting, you know, a week after the siege on the Capitol, or whatever you want to call that, whatever side of that you're on. And my gosh, both sides think they're right. If you look at the interviews of the people who were participating in that, they totally felt warranted in what they did and impassioned and right about it. And then you have people who on the other side of it who look at it and say that is so like wrong and undemocratic, like what all the words we can put on it, right? And then those are all different ways that we otherize each other instead of looking inside ourselves and saying, you know, they are just another me. What's that like for them? What are they feeling? What's their experience that has them doing that? Wow, what pain are they in that they feel so misunderstood that that's the action they're taking?
Right. The otherizing. I love that. And so you brought up this, you know, we've got these two, you know, groups, or either outside of ourselves and which reflect what's inside of ourselves,
Yeah,
These
exactly.
two big groups that feel that they, or anyone, two, groups feel that they are completely right. Their whole world is, they sense that they are right. So they're asleep to the fact that that someone else's opinion is right as well. So how do we like wake the people up that don't realize that that how do we heal this divide? And when you don't even realize that there is one.
Yeah. Well, the only divide we can heal is our own. Right. I mean, the only divide we can heal is our own. And the only person we can wake up is us. So, it's about us all doing our work. And yeah, will some people not do their work? Nah, probably not. There'll probably some people that won't, and that's okay, because that's their soul's journey. And we can meet them where they are in that, wherever they are in their incarnation, in their soul's journey. And we can like, okay, that's where they are, and that, and accept and attend and attune and to even love them where they are, just because that's what we're doing for ourselves, is accepting and attending and attuning and loving and being compassionate with ourselves. And that's how we heal the divide within, so that we can do the same with others. We can be the empathetic, the compassionate, the loving presence for others that we come to be for ourselves.
Knowing that we can learn from each of those, experiences.
Yeah, to the extent that we look at the other person and we react and like, why are they doing that thing? Oh, new place to look.
New place to
look.
Yeah. I'm just letting that all just settle in. It's so important, right now. And those fingers all point, back to ourselves and our own work, and are all loving and accepting ourselves and, the other people that we may or may, that we're reacting to.
Yeah, yeah, because we can't give anyone else what we don't give ourselves. That's the key, is whatever we want from someone else, we must give ourselves first. So whatever we want to give, whatever we want to get, we start by giving that to ourselves first.
So where do we start?
Where do we start? Yeah, so there's so many different ways to start this work, and it's all, as we've been talking about turning inward, and as challenging and devastating and like unprecedented, all these words you can use to describe the pandemic, it has served, I believe, for many, to turn us inward. And when we accept that invitation to turn inward, or even if we're not invited, we seek out that invitation to turn inward, then we can begin to identify all the ways in which we're divided, so that we can accept and name and attend and attune and understand the impermanence of it, and then reconnect with the love that we are. So what are all the different modalities of turning inward? And there are many. So meditation is an excellent modality for turning inward. There is no end to what we can learn about ourselves. I mean, it's telling that that if you were to tell some large group of people, that you're doing a 7-day silent retreat, like I did last June, they say, "Oh my gosh, I could never do that. I could never do that." just how many people would have that particular reaction. In essence, what we're saying, if we were to say that, and to be honest, like there are many, I think I said that before I did a silent retreat. I'm pretty sure I did. So like, I don't, like, how could you, like, I don't think I could do that. I'm pretty sure I said that. And what we're saying is like, I can't be with myself. Like I'm afraid or anxious or whatever the fill in blank emotion is of being with myself. And so it starts by having the courage, mustering the courage to turn inward and to look at what's there and to be with and accept and attune with and investigate and nurture what's there. So that's the kind of the meditation approach. Of course, there are all different kinds of therapy, psychotherapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, art therapy. There's so many different kinds of therapy that are also kind of inward looking, inward examining. Something as simple as journaling with intention toward looking inward can go a long way toward really understanding how to look at and investigate and nurture our inner terrain. There are assessments that can help us see what we can't see about ourselves. And when that assessment is when you have a master at interpreting those assessments who can hold space for your experience, then you can learn a lot about yourself really quickly through certain different kind of assessments that look at the internal landscape. Other modalities are breath work, whether it's holotropic breath work or other types of breath work, to allow us to really kind of connect with ourselves at an essential level. And that has a lot of the same kinds of, turns out, benefits as meditation, because all kinds of things can come up that are surprising, that surprise us. We learn, that the issues are in our tissues. And when we do this work, whether it's yoga or breath work, there's other types of somatic work, that kind of work can come up and surface in ways we didn't even know was there. And then of course there's the psychedelic work. There's plant-based medicine and other medicines that allow us to explore our internal experience in an oftentimes really accelerated fashion. And when it's done with a proper set and setting, and with guides that are available to help us make sense and make meaning of that experience, that can be very healing too. So there's all these different modalities that it take a little bit of time or a lot of time or a little bit of cost or more cost, doesn't matter. And more modalities, the better, that allow us to turn inward, see what's there, and love that, what's there.
Great example, great examples. Do you think it's possible to invite someone to wake up that doesn't know that they're divided? And do you think it's possible to invite someone into that kind of learning that maybe doesn't know that that's what they need?
Well, here's how I internalize what you said, is that when I am at my best and when I'm the most in my essence and living through that, which for me anyway says easy does hard, when I'm in that, then it becomes an invitation for those around me to, not just an invitation, let me change that a little differently. when I'm in my essence and attending and attuning and accepting and loving myself, I give others permission to do the same. And I can hold the space, I can hold the potentially healing space for, particularly for us as coaches or therapists or shamans or healers, like we can hold that space for others where they can show up in any way that can be expressed to them, and we can hold it and love them and connect with them and accept them and celebrate them and embrace them. When we can be that way with everyone, even in their tantrums, even in their acting out, when we can behave in that way with others, then it's less of an invitation to say, wake up, which could come with like a should around it, and more of a, like, hey, like, I love you. We're in this together, and I'm here for you. And that's it. And then if that be by experiencing that, if that allows them to kind of begin to, yeah, all this stuff happened to me as a child, and like my dad this and my mom that, and but like like I can, it's okay. There's someone else here then it's okay. There's someone else here who can tolerate that from me. I can be my real self. I don't have to be my false self. Like there's someone here who I can just lean into. Like when we can be that for each other, then it might support people on their path.
Right. And see each other as this, unifying, empathic whole. The way that we look at each other, and then that way we can see that in ourselves at the same time. And so I love this because we started out talking about, the big divide in the country. And then, we went into talking about the divide in ourselves. And now we're talking again about how to project it back out and what is possible, if we do.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is like the big like picture of it. Is like what's possible is that when anyone or anything on the earth hurts, we all feel it. Right? That we're connected. That when we have differences, those differences stay as differences, not as judgments or ways in which we hurt each other or ways in which we reject each other. Right? Differences just stay as differences. And that we can recognize that everyone else is just another me.
I love the Rumi quote, we are not drops in the ocean. We are oceans. We are the ocean in a drop.
Yeah, I love that.
and so that's what came up for me when you were saying that, also this feeling of real expansiveness inside when and hey, it's okay, it's not good or bad, it's just different, and we don't have to get charged up about it, which, like you said, again points back to our own stuff.
That I can see, to use the Rumi metaphor that you brought up, like that I can tap into the ocean in me, and I can see the ocean that's in you too, that I can acknowledge that there's an ocean in you, that I can tap into the divine that is me, and I can see and celebrate the divine that's in you.
Right. Gosh. So, so this, what can this, healing do for the world? Like if everyone, let's like take it there, if everyone did this work, and what would be possible in the world? What would the world look like?
Yeah. Well, and so let's just say that we start at the very elemental of like when one person or one thing hurts, we all feel it. Then the planet would thrive, because when the planet is hurt, we would feel it. We would feel the hurt. So we would collectively, we would no longer hurt the planet. We would honor the planet. We would love the planet. We would nurture the planet. And if someone else in the world was hurt, like we would do what we could do to help them, to ease their pain and to attend to them. So that I think that's the difference. And that we wouldn't start wars with each other, that we would see where the needs were and we would go there. So there would be a more even distribution of resources. There'd be less, division, less divide, less, political this and racial that. Like when everyone is another me and one person feels pain and we all feel it, then we're operating from a very, very different place. One in which differences can be tolerated and experienced merely as a difference, not as something that's making you wrong or me right, or you wrong, or me wrong and you right. Not that creates something that's wrong with anyone, but recognizing that we all, as you said, we all have these oceans within us. And yeah, the way we express those oceans are different. And that's what makes up the beauty. I'm like, how boring would life be if we were all the same ocean? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just dreaming into that whole world that you just painted that picture.
Yeah.
Is it possible?
Yeah. I believe that when we believe it is possible, then we act and behave and show up in ways that moves toward it.
Exactly. We're all creating it. We're all co-creating that.
Yeah. So I'm preferring to believe that it is.
We're creating it right now. That's what I'm feeling. Yeah. Is there anything else that is lighting you up, or that you want to share or talk about in the fields that you're working on, that you're seeing that's super exciting?
No, I feel like we left it on the field, and I don't have too much more to share. I'm really grateful for this opportunity, and I feel very called to do this work to heal the divide. It's literally a message that I got for me, and the invitation I hold for anyone hearing this is to listen to what the universe is telling you, whatever that is, and trust that. My life has changed enormously when I started just trusting the universe, trusting that part of me that's connected with the universe, and truly, genuinely believe that, everything is consorting for my good, for my well-being.
May it be so, for sure.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing and putting out into the world. I know that you spoke a little bit about the gift that you're offering, and if you want to just tell people about how to find you or more about that gift, then please feel free to share that.
Sure. Thanks, Tami. You can find me at learninginaction.com. That's our website. And what Learning in Action does is we help make the unconscious conscious. We help people see inside them in ways that they cannot see themselves, so that they can begin to see the ways in which they're divided. They can see the patterns that have been created over the course of a lifetime and now are in their very neurology. And because it's wrapped in their neurology, they can't see it. When I say they, I mean we, it's all of us. And so that's the work we do at Learning in Action. And a key part of that understanding ourselves is understanding there's the many dimensions that make up our interiority. We don't have, as humans, we have great language for what's outside of us and not much language for how to define our inner landscape. And so that's part of what we do at Learning in Action is we have a way of defining the dimensions of our interior life and a way of examining them. And one aspect, one dimension of our interior life is our emotional life. And, many people do not have what we'd call a high level of emotional literacy. And that's because they just didn't, there's nothing wrong or bad with that. We tend to learn that in our earliest years of life. And if we don't learn that, we don't come into adulthood with a level of literacy around our emotions. So we aren't able to kind of have a feeling inside and have a name for that, what that is, and be able to identify it and name it and then understand what it means to even know where to look, right? So the little guide we've created to help you begin your journey inward is a guide to the role of emotions in our lives. And it's just a very simple way of looking at 7 emotions, which are the kind of our way of looking at the full spectrum of emotions that we have, and identifying the information of them and the gift of them and the role they play in our lives, such that when we understand that, it helps us gain a better discernment of what's actually happening inside so that we can work with it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Emotions, and important that you're helping people to really track into that, which is the doorway to all of this. Thank you so much for that gift and for your time today. I enjoyed talking with you so much. I hope to continue the journey with you for sure.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Tami. It's been a real gift, and thank you for doing this. Thank you. Take care. Namaste.
Namaste.
Okay.